Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps. My co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. It is great to speak to you. We are almost at the end of this Singletown season. We're on episode 13. Where do you want to start today?
Well, Dave, we're going to give George a bit of a day off today. We will talk about it later, but someone else has emerged from the phoenix of his relationship with Sophie in his own relationship. And I actually think he's worse than George because Nat, my fucking God, has he got a God complex, Dave? I mean, what is going on with that guy?
I honestly don't know. I mean, to be honest, he's not come across particularly well straight off the bat. Now, there are times, and he kind of, he doesn't come across too badly. But I've got to tell you, Chris, episode 13, I don't think anyone has come across as badly as him in this episode. I just think I've said it before. I think he's got no chat. He just sort of laughs at himself, and because he's got everything else, the good looks, the muscles, all that stuff, the height. I just think he gets away with having no chat. But I, having no chat is a bit different to being a complete dick. And he did say in this episode, um, you know, he doesn't mind if everyone thinks he's a dick because he knows he's not. Well, I'm telling you, Nat. I'm sorry, mate. You fucking are.
I know he is, but Dave. Look, and he might listen to this. What we're seeing on the screen there has not painted him in a good picture today. Even though some of the stuff George has pulled and that has been pretty bad and in poor, sort of just like childish, and some of the stuff George has done be childish, but Nat took it to another level. He was so childish today. I mean, he takes that girl on a date. It's the fourth date they've been on. Megan sees it. Megan's still saying she knows she still loves him and that, but she knows that she can't sort of be with him. I think she's come to that realization when her mum, her best friend, and her dad came on the screen and give her a bit of a pep
Do
talk.
you think do you think the penny's really dropped? Because I still think that Meg is trying to save the relationship. Even after that talk, that seemed to give her a bit of a kick up the arse. But I don't know. It still feels to me that she's still trying to figure out how can they fix her and that.
I just don't think they can. And what I find utterly bizarre about Nat is he has treated Megan 100 times worse than her sexting somebody or texting, whatever she's done. I'm not saying that's right there because it's not, because you're emotionally attached to somebody else, aren't you, when you do stuff like that. However, she's admitted it. She's held her hands up, and it feels as if like he's done stuff in the past, and I'm only guessing here, but it's like he's done stuff in the past and got away with it, but now he's actually caught her doing it. He's now on the moral high ground, and what makes you piss is when he's going. So the girl's going, I just can't get it out of my head. Next minute, he's fucking snogging her, comes back to her room, and he's all over in the bedroom. And I'm like, you haven't got a clue. And when Claudia and Selling called him out, especially Claudia, he's like, don't care. She went, I don't like the way you treat women. Don't really care. Not bothered. Like you said, the line about, I know that I'm a good guy came out then. But so childish. It's a joke. It's not a joke. He patted her on the head. He called her sweetheart and all that. And it's like, you really, it was just, for me, Dave, and I know it sounds daft because we all, I'm fucking be the most childish person in the room. You know what I'm like. I can be a balloon head at times when we're together. But in the same respect, you see as you get older, you're like, oh my God, he needs to fucking grow up because he's never going to go through life with that. There's only so long he can get away with that. I mean, even the line about, do you like Jamaican? She went, why? She went, do you want some in you? Something like that. I was like, oh my God, mate, come on.
I think he was sort of showing off in front of George as well, though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was kind of like he did turn, and again, I don't think Ellis said to him, like, if I'm on a date with someone, then all my attention and focus is on that person. In other words, stop fucking going on about your ex and just enjoy this time. And I don't know why it took to the fourth date, and not even like after the fourth date, and him acting like a complete prick. And again, I just he's not 100% bad. He's not 100% good. He's somewhere in between. But he was behaving like a complete dick in that moment, and I just don't get why Ellis was giving him the time of day after that. But when he was patting her on the head, being a bell end behind her back, and then he's like, "On your way, sweetheart." I was just like, "Fucking hell!" Just grow the fuck up. And the fact that it took the girls to basically say to Ellis, he's being completely disrespectful. she needs to sort of wake up. She needs to recognise someone like that straight off the bat. And yeah, it was all really quite uncomfortable to watch, wasn't it?
It was, and I think as well, it's like, y- what is he aiming to get out of this experience? As a person, is it just so his mates can all see him being a Jack the Lad and stuff? It's like you say, somewhere deep inside the bravado and all the bullshit, he's a nice person, and he needs to find that nice person. And I'm sure when he's with his family and that, he's a good guy and stuff like that. And with his mates, it'll all be like something to look back on and go, "Do you remember that time I was on the TV show and I did this and I went with these girls and that's all it seems like it's to me. It's like he's just giving himself a platform so all these mates in the WhatsApp group can say what a great fucking stud he is, because he's got all these girls on the go. And even the voiceover guy said it, didn't he? He went, how the fuck are you getting away with saying you've got 2 or 3 girls on the go here now? He piped up, and you're right. He's got no fucking chat at all. When he said, "Oh yeah, I'm great looking bloke, me," and that, and it's like, how the hell are you even saying this? Even if you are a good looking lad, which he obviously is, it's like you don't need to be like that. That's one of the most ugly traits, or it's so unattractive to most people when someone's doing that, boy or girl. So, yeah, for me, I'm off the train, and it did to be fair, it did give George a bit of a respite today, Dave. However, he's still chirping up with shit, and I did feel sorry for him. I think what you've been saying the last few episodes, now I've been harder on him than you, but what you said the last few episodes about, I just feel for him and feel, about his mental state and that. And you could see that genuinely. He was upset when Emily said, like, I mean, I must admit, Emily looked rather smug when she told him that. And she went, I think
Yeah.
you need to move on. You need to start sort of closing that door. I'm not going to lie. And I can understand that. And he gets up and he's like, I'm blazing. I've got to go. And I get that. I think I'd be exactly the same.
Yeah.
And he storms out. No problem with that. But every time like Mason gets mentioned, she says about Mason, and he went, "Oh, great name, Mason." And I'm like, "Oh, please, that's not gonna win her back by doing that." I know you're upset. It's not really his fault. She's single. He's single. Yeah, we know he's had a bit of a dalliance with Maureen and stuff. And I'm not saying it's right. I don't actually like Mason, and we'll get onto him in a minute. But George just needs to close that door. And I know it's difficult and stuff, but what we don't see, Dave, and I do think the editing of the show has a lot to do with this, is the girls, Selin and Claudia, who don't seem to suffer fools gladly, say what a lovely lad he is. So I'm hoping that maybe he is a good guy. It's just that when he's gone on the dates, like you said about Nat showing off, maybe it's just he just acts that way because he thinks he has to for the cameras and that. He might be a lovely lad, but he's just not come across well for me. And I get it. I totally get why he was upset. I completely understand with this one. And I did feel a bit sorry for him because he broke down a couple of times in this episode. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. No, it's horrible to watch, isn't it? And I think you're right. I mean, off camera, he could be the nicest bloke. I just think, there's the odd one-liner that he comes out with that's just in the same way that Nat's like, when he's patting her on the head and saying "on your way, sweetheart," it's like, oh, it's just banter. No, it's not, mate. That's not banter.
No,
It's just
disrespectful.
disrespect, So I feel like sometimes George is a bit the same, and he certainly talks himself up as a nice guy. He keeps saying, how I should just walk away, and then she'll realize what she's lost. Sorry, George, I don't think. I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to work. But he clearly sees himself as the dream kind of catch, and I think you need to shake yourself out of that mindset. Because I tell you what, if you think you've got everything nailed, you think you are the world's best catch, then you're onto a loser. From there, because you always have to keep trying. You always have to. I think have that little bit of insecurity. Maybe not insecurity, but at least don't think you're Bertie Big Bollocks and fucking everyone should come and polish your shoes for you. It's just like I I think that might be a little window, a little clue into how that relationship has been in the past. And we certainly saw it from George in the first couple of episodes, where he was a bit more sort of cocksure about himself, thought he was Jack the Lad. But then since then, he's been on a bit of a spiral. So I don't think we're on episode 13. There's a couple left. I think the last one might be a reunion or something like that. So I don't even know if it's all going to conclude in the next episode that we watch. And he's not going to shake out of it. Even if he goes on a date with someone else, he's not going to be invested. He needs to kind of separate his mind from Sophie. And Sophie said, didn't she? She knows that her and George are done. So whether it's Mason, whether it's someone else, George can twat those golf balls as much as he wants and call him Mason, but it, you're venting your anger in the wrong place. Just reflect on it and take the lessons into the next relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great analysis of him, David. And you mentioned Mason. I think he was a bit of a bad guy in this one, Dave. Not liking this lad at all now. I think he's absolutely just playing Sophie. Sophie, to be fair, didn't take him up on it. She gave him a bit of a peck on the lips, even she said on the cheek, said she liked him and stuff. But she's so standoffish with him. And she, like you said, she even says that even if it's not Mason, she doesn't want to be with George. Mason's a player, Dave. Absolute
Yeah.
player 101. As much as what we say to George for and Maureen sort of telling him, Maureen was right. He is a player. And I don't think he's got any sort of emotional or genuine feelings for Sophie, to be honest.
I don't. He comes across like a player to me as well, and his go-to line is "I like you."
Yeah.
Just the way he says it, and she's calling him out for the lying again, and he says he didn't lie. He just didn't tell her about it because he didn't want to ruin things between them on the first date. Well, sorry, mate, that's fucking lying. That is.
Yeah, it
He's
is,
constantly
yeah.
like fucking deflecting it. He didn't just omit to tell her something. He flat out said that, nothing happened after the brunch. So it's like, he just won't have it at all. Now, to be fair, Sophie gets a trip to Barcelona, and I'm sure they'll develop feelings there, kind of a bit of a holiday romance kind of thing. But I don't really see that there's anything there for them long term. And yeah, I'm with you. I don't necessarily see they're a good fit. But regardless of whether Mason's in or out of the picture, like I say, Sophie and George are done. So I think she'll just hopefully come out of this with a few lessons and then think, right, this is how I spot the douchebags.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You're sending some knowledge out today, Dave. I'm telling you,
Oh,
but that's right. Yeah, no, you're right. You're so right. And so we also had, and again, as I mentioned in the last episode and the one before, would I be investing in the new couple, Kyra and Ella? And genuinely, I am. And they both went on dates. Kyra went on the date with a Welsh guy, and Ella went on a date with a girl, which I think Ella was a bit naughty because she just didn't have the bottle to say to her. She said, like, I love your smile, I love your thing about it. And she kept complimenting her too much. And I'm thinking, why are you complimenting her so much on the first date? It's not wrong with saying someone looks attractive or someone looks lovely or nice or whatever. Obviously, there isn't. But it was too much. And at the end of it, she went, I've said we're going to go on a date, but not really. I don't even like her. I don't even find her attractive. And I'm like, oh, you should have just told her, and
yeah,
it was really uncomfortable, that. But I think Ella's a lovely girl. And then when we saw Kyra with the Welsh guy, and he was like saying he wants someone adventurous and he saw about her eyes and he was laying all the lines on her and stuff. And she'd said she wanted to go on a date with a guy. And I don't know, Dave. I can't really say I can see anything between Ella and Kyra, to be honest. Personally, I know we've only seen a little interaction with them, but they've been together 3 years. They're obviously well into each other. There is issues there, but they love each other. And I don't know whether going out with the guys, I mean, Ella come out with a great line. She said, I want a woman's internal sort of feelings and thingy, but a man's body. And
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't think you're going to get that, to be honest.
Well, I'm sure there's some trans combination that would probably tick all the boxes. I don't really, yeah, I don't really know. I honestly, Chris, I said in the last episode, I don't really have a good frame of reference for this. I've never sort of experienced anything like that, where you've got two people who both dated the opposite sex before, but then have come together, developed that emotional connection, but then if they weren't together, then they'd probably go back to the opposite sex. Both of them are in the same
Yeah,
boat. And I just
yeah,
find it bizarre. And the thing about Ella complimenting Gail about her appearance too much, it's as if she was trying too hard. It's as if she's like, well, I should compliment her. And she's overcompensating because she doesn't actually think any of those things. She doesn't find her attractive at all. And she was an attractive girl. And so I just find it very strange. I did wonder, I mean, when they were playing darts, and then Joel was telling Kyra they were going on a date. I did wonder why she came in a Where's Wally outfit. But at least she was a bit. I mean, Kyra was pretty horrible in that last date, wasn't she, with that French girl? And I've got to say, oh, Welsh Hugh, I, she's punching above her weight there. Old Hugh is a good-looking bloke. He's got dreamy eyes. You know, he's been in one serious relationship before. I think he'd be a bit of a catch, but I just don't know. Kyra and Ella, I don't know where their heads at. Honestly, there are so many permutations. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. I honestly don't. It's a weird one, Dave. I'm invested in where they go, and but I do think I'd stand by what I said. There was loads told in the last episode where I wanted to know about the relationship, and I really was sort of interested in making it. Will they make it? Will they split up and that? But seeing it again today, and it's being the same sort of story, we're not going to get that. As much as
No.
I've called myself out yesterday, and now I'm sort of doing another Chris Phelps 180. There's just not enough time on it at all. They can put them on another date tomorrow, and I've got a feeling, like you said, it might be the love locket if there is some sort of reunion at the end of it. So that's going to be interesting how they full stop that interaction with him. I honestly don't know.
I think the only option for them is to stay together. The thing I just cannot wrap my head around is that they clearly don't find girls attractive. They're not attracted to them. They're more attracted to the boys, but they've got that connection with each other. These, Chris, Kyra and Ella should have been there on episode 1. And then by, 13 episodes or whatever, we might understand as viewers, but them themselves as well would have been on enough dates and met enough people to really kind of figure out where their head's at, what they find attractive, what they're looking for in a partner. But yeah, a few episodes, I'm just utterly confused. Which, it must be horrible for them as well, because clearly they are as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like you said, we have no point of reference, both of us. We've both been in heterosexual relationships, Dave. I've never been in a relationship with the same sex. And I don't know, if you were gay, would you then try and get in a relationship? If you were with a girl and you get in a gay relationship, then you go back, or if you were a lesbian and then you go back and get in, with a bloke. I don't know how that works with a guy. I honestly don't know. The feelings that must be going on. It must be horrible for him because they don't know which way to turn, do they? It's
Yeah.
really bizarre. And I think, to be fair, exactly like you said, they should be on from the start, because it's a hell of an experiment to see in front of you, but only telling that over 2 or 3 episodes. It's a shame, really.
Yeah.
Because I think there'd be a lot of legs in what's going on with them too, Dave. Not just from are they going to split up? Are they going to do this? Are they going to get people? Just for them personally, not necessarily like what we've seen with Sophie or some of the other couples where they've got with other people. Just from purely them. I don't think they're going to. I don't think. I mean, they might have now after watching this, because we're 6 months down the line. But I don't think what they did in this show, or what they do in this show, will have got them the answers they need, to be honest, in such a short space of time.
Yeah, and that, if they're going through that, there must be other people in similar kind of situations as well, with similar complicated feelings. I mean, I guess it fucking doesn't feel like it, especially for me, Chris. But I mean, when you're in that conventional sort of, heterosexual relationship, it seems fairly easy. Choosing the right person is the tricky bit, but, at least you don't have to deal with all the other stuff, and I know kind of Joel and Kyra were joking, weren't they? They've got all the fish in the sea to pick from. Well, if you've got all of them, you've kind of got none of them. It's like, because you don't even know which way to go. At least if you're attracted to this half of the population, it's different, to if you're attracted to the whole population. So I don't know, really complicated, but I mean, it's got us talking, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great to watch, Dave, and also it opens your eyes. It educates you, doesn't it? What people are going through. So it's interesting. We've got kids as well. You don't know if one of our kids could be going through that at some point
Yeah.
in their life. So it's good to have a bit of foresight and a little bit of knowledge. Obviously, you're not going to have the full picture, but at least you know that maybe is a conversation that we've got to tackle at some point. So no, I'm being a bit serious now, Dave. Not usually taking the piss out, but as a parent, it's a great conversation to have with, if that actually happens with your kids or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Chris, like I say, I'm not sure if the last episode is a reunion or not, so let's get in our updated predictions, shall we? Just in case next one's the last one. So,
Yep.
Selin and Jeremiah.
I think they're going to be together because we've not seen Selin on a date. We questioned it, didn't we? The way she sort of had a go at him through the whole series. Quite right. We've not seen anything since. So I think they will get back together now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Jeremiah in particular has come around, and I think, Selin's been slow to kind of give him a break, or recognize that he's coming round. But I think when it comes down to it, she will. She hasn't kissed anyone, so even when he was, putting it out there on the first date that time, she hasn't done anything. So I think they will both stay together, and I think I've got my fingers crossed for them. Now, what about Claudia and Rob?
I don't think they will be together. Not for Rob's want of trying. I just can't see. And Claudia's not found anybody in this process. You know, this little dalliance with Bailey, but nothing came of it. She hasn't snogged him or anything like that. I don't think. I think Rob may plead his case again, but it might just be time for him to walk away. So we'll see on that. They're one. I'm 50-50 with them, Dave, to be honest.
I am probably 51-49 that Claudia will opt to stay single. The only reason for that kind of 2% swing is that last date with Bailey, where he was a bit of a bellend and he was sort of calling himself out as a player, I think seemed to shock Claudia a little bit. Now, up until then, she was having a great time. She's more confident than she's ever been. Almost seems to want to pat Rob on the head, to be a little puppy dog because he always keeps coming back no matter what she does. I just wonder what her reflection on that last date with Bailey would be. And so I'm not ruling it out that she might come around to, you know what, actually, I think I might be onto a better thing than I thought I was. Not in the way George feels about himself. Rob does seem like a genuine bloke, and probably hasn't been as attentive as he always should be. But you know what? Sometimes we don't know until someone tells us, or we kind of come to that realization. So I don't know. I think Claudia might opt to stay single, but I wouldn't be shocked if she decided, you know what, I've been on this experience, I've had a great time. Rob's kind of, told me all those things, and I need to hold him account to it for it. But we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Now, what do you reckon about Nat and Meg?
Well, I think what you said is right. I think if Nat gave Meg half a chance, she probably would doubt that she shouldn't be with him. I think she may take him back. However, she deserves better from what we can see. And I know Meg listens to the show and that, so it'll be interesting what her take is on it afterwards, because this is, it's filmed 6 months ago. But at the moment, I just do not see a relationship between them two. I think she's far too good for him. She's been punished for one mistake she's made. He's obviously made numerous mistakes, or he's treated her disrespectfully. He needs to grow up. And if they do get together and they are together 6 months later, maybe he's made him grow as people, Dave, especially Nat. But for me, no, I just cannot see it. And I think it'd be such a mistake at what we've seen at this present time on the show.
Yeah, I think again, guys, this is a toxic couple if ever there was one. And with a toxic couple, they might opt to stay together, despite everyone outside seeing that it's too far gone. What they may have had at one time may have been fantastic, and in those low moments, they're probably thinking back nostalgically about how great it was and thinking that they could get that back. But you know what? You can't unmake soup. Once it's made, you've got to deal with it. You can't put it all back together to how it was. And I just hope both of them actually opt to remain single and then just go away, reflect on what how that relationship's gone, and move on. And I mean, we spoke about them obviously before, but I mean, Kyla and Ella.
Don't know, Dave. Honestly, don't know. I think it's become apparent that what they both want is in each other, but there is obviously something wrong for them to come on a show like this and doubt the relationship. So I can't tell. I'd have to watch more of them. The others I've got a decision on because we've watched them over 13 episodes. With these two, I genuinely don't know. I think it's so up in the air at the moment.
Yeah. I think, again, they haven't had enough time. That much is clear. So I think they're going to take the path of least resistance, to be honest, and stay together. They haven't really hit it off with anyone. I mean, Kyla and Hugh was kind of okay. Again, I do think he seems to be a bit keen to be on the telly, if I'm honest. But yeah, I just don't think they'll have had enough time. Sophie's been on what, like 6 dates and a Barcelona trip with Mason.
Yeah.
Big difference between going on they've both been on a date with a girl and a boy. It's not long enough. So I think they're going to opt to stay together. And plus, they didn't have some of the deep emotional issues that some of the other couples had. They hadn't been cheating or anything. I think Ella was just a bit worried that Kyla was, a bit clingy and, didn't have her own circle of friends to kind of, go off and talk to and what have you. So I think they'll probably work it out. But again, what the long term is, I have no idea for that couple.
Good call. Good call.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon they'll stay together?
No. No. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know. I genuinely don't know, Dave. I really don't know.
Well, get off the fence, man. You're going to have to pick one.
No, they won't then.
All right, there we go. That's better.
Useless. Sorry.
All right, mate. So if someone wanted to get in contact with us, how would they get in contact with us?
On email at cdrealitycast@gmail.com, on Twitter at cdrealitycast. And if you want to drop us a review on the show, I would really, really appreciate it, guys. Me and Dave. It just helps us grow and gets us out there to more people.
Awesome. So, like I say, 2 episodes left now. Suspect the last one's probably a reunion or something like that. Seems what most of these shows do nowadays. So yeah, we're gonna have to get on the next one. And obviously, we've got next week. We've got coming up Labour of Love, haven't we? So that's really hotting up. And of course, next week we've got Love Island, Chris. So Australia season 1. I can't wait.
You're going to be so fucking disappointed when you don't think it's any good, Dave, but I can't wait, and I've already seen it. So what I will say to everyone listening, I am just going to play it episode by episode. I know it's going to be difficult because obviously there's probably people out there who've watched it as well. And I'm just going to take each episode on the merit, and I'll try not to give anything away or sway anybody on anything. I'll just treat it like that because that's the only way we can do it, Dave, because you've never seen it and I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I know it'll be tricky. Mind you, it's been a while ago now, hasn't it? So I'm sure you don't, Chris, I barely remember all the last, the last Love Island season UK that we did. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be twists and turns that you don't quite remember. But yeah, no, it should be good. So looking forward to it. And yeah, cheers. Good to speak to you. I'll speak to you again next episode.
Take care. Bye now.